Hey guys, welcome back to ProductNation, and as per your request, we're going to be comparing the camera on the iPhone 11 Pro Max with the camera on the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. So the test dummy for the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 is going to be me, and the test dummy for the iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to be Alex, who's filming right now because he's a huge Apple fanboy. So let's just jump right in this video and let you guys decide which one is better. Whether this being... Where are we filming? It's like we're in a city, in a village all at once. Is worth... So this video isn't going to be very editing focused. It's just about the images right out of the camera. We are going to make a video on how to edit your pictures and make them look professional when taken with a phone next week. So be sure you subscribe for that and come back next week for that video. So this is basically going to be a blind test where we take one shot with the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the second with the Xiaomi Mi Note 10, and you guys need to figure out which is which. No cheating. So the first shot is an ultra-wide angle indoor shot, as you guys can see right here. When you zoom in 600%, the image on the right still retains details because of the HDR. Moving on to the next image, this is an image of a plant where you can see the background is a lot blurrier on the right. Center focus is extremely sharp on the left, but the HDR is kind of strong. Now we know the iPhone has only 3 lenses, while the Xiaomi has about 5 lenses, which is a lot of lenses. So we're going to test the zoom feature where we go from 0.5 to 1 time zoom, 2 time zoom, 5 time zoom, and then 10 time zoom, and see how the iPhone competes. So comparing the 10x zoom on both phones, Xiaomi handles it pretty well, and so does the iPhone actually, until you see how much degradation there is at the 10x zoom. We also tried the zoom outdoors on this building, and trying with the iPhone and the Xiaomi, you actually see a lot of difference, especially with the Xiaomi where you can zoom in so far with that 50 times zoom. So the first image here is taken with the ultra wide angle, left and right. Guess which is which. Then we move on to the max native zoom. So the iPhone gives you a 2x zoom and Xiaomi gives you 5 times zoom. However, on the Xiaomi you can go way further with that 108 megapixels and that zoom. Next we tried out the portrait mode on some plants, which are a lot harder to take a picture of in portrait mode than people. Here's the first shot showing the color difference between the two and the background separation. Guess which is which. Moving on to a detail shot, you guys can see clearly here, one's color tint is a lot different and it's a lot sharper. Moving in closer, this is a 1:1 ratio where you can see the sharpness maintained across the board. Next we tested the macro capabilities on both. One couldn't get close enough and has a lot more compression, and when you go 1:1, these are the details that you can see. One's a lot sharper. Next we're moving on to portrait mode for people, which is something a lot of people enjoy taking pictures of. So our first portrait shot, you can clearly see one's a lot blurrier in the background, especially when you zoom in 1:1, you can really see which one has digital blur. Moving on to the second shot, it's almost the same case, especially when it comes to the hairline. You can see that both of them have struggled a bit. Moving on to the selfie mode, vibrancy is an issue, and the blurrier background, you can clearly see the differences there. Alright, so now we're gonna finally take a look at the results and see how many of these you got right or you got wrong. So be honest and let us know in the comments below. So for the first shot, which is ultra wide, if you've used an iPhone, you know that it's a lot wider, so this answer was a little bit obvious. The picture on the left is the iPhone. When you zoom in, obviously Xiaomi has more detail but more noise. For the second image, surprisingly the iPhone is a lot more vibrant, however the blur in the background is a lot better for the Xiaomi. Moving on to the third image, this is very clear again, the iPhone is a lot wider, therefore that is the iPhone image. In the portrait image, you can clearly see that the iPhone is a lot more balanced and not too contrasty. In the detailed image, the iPhone maintains more of the shadows, and also at the 1:1 crop, you can see that the Xiaomi maintains more details because of the 108 megapixels. Moving on to the macro shot, you can see that the iPhone is a lot tighter because it doesn't have a macro lens. Xiaomi does have a macro lens, therefore it has way more details when you zoom in. In the portrait mode, the Xiaomi colors look nicer to me, however the blur looks better on the iPhone. As you can see in the background there, it looks more realistic. Same as for this image, the colors are just a lot nicer on the Xiaomi for me, but the background blur is just okay in both. The selfie mode is very subjective. For me, it doesn't really make a difference. iPhone just looks a lot more HDR-y. Same for the blur effect. I think the iPhone looks a little bit better than the Xiaomi. All right, recording. So we're now doing the front camera test on the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. So we're also going to be checking the stabilization and the sound quality. So now you're hearing the sound from the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and now you're hearing the sound from the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. The iPhone 11 Pro Max's HDR on the front camera is a lot better. So you guys can see that the grass on the right side, I can see details on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but not on the Xiaomi. And also me and Alex, the details on us is a lot sharper on the 11 Pro Max. I think the 11 Pro Max looks way more superior, right? Like if we just stop walking, look at that, that's crazy. Okay, so now we're testing the video quality for the back camera, recording 4K at 30 FPS on both phones. The sound that you're hearing now is from the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and the sound that you're hearing now is from the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. So I'm gonna walk forward, so we're gonna see the stabilization on these two. Walking towards Alex, and they seem to be fairly the same. The Xiaomi stabilization does seem to be a little bit better, but the closer I get, the background blur on the Xiaomi phone looks a little bit nicer in video. It's a lot blurrier. That might be because of the aperture, but on the iPhone it just overall looks well balanced. The HDR is a lot nicer. Testing the different lenses for the video, you can see ultra wide here, 1x zoom, and then you finally have the 2x zoom. The iPhone looks really good across the board for all the different lenses. Moving on to Xiaomi, the ultra wide is a little bit mushy with details. I prefer the iPhone. The 1x zoom looks pretty good, and then moving on to the 2x zoom, it also gives you the option to the 5x zoom because of that lens, which the iPhone lacks.
It's really good, I'm not gonna lie. The quality, which is the sharpness, okay. The HDR is amazing, okay. The portrait mode, and yeah, and then the ultra wide.
And the colors.
Yeah.
The colors are the best. For me, that's the only reason I like the iPhone, the colors. So that's about it, guys. That's the comparison between the iPhone 11 Pro Max camera and the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 camera. So that was a lot of fun for us to shoot, especially because we were looking at something that's so much more expensive than the other. We're trying to see the camera quality difference here. When it comes to the different aspects of the phone, it can be very subjective which you prefer over the other. However, I think it was a very clear winner when it comes to the video specifically. The iPhone absolutely destroyed Xiaomi when it came to the video quality, especially because of things like the bitrate that it offers for the video. The quality is a lot better even on the front camera that somehow offers 4K at 60 FPS. When it came to the HDR and maintaining highlight details and having not that much contrast and a proper balanced image, the iPhone just takes that win. But when it comes to the pictures themselves, that's where it gets really subjective. For me personally, when I look at the ultra wide angle images, I still prefer the iPhone over the Xiaomi just because of the distortion control on the iPhone. The distortion is really well maintained, so the lines don't really curve too much towards the edges, as you guys can see in that image there. Even though it's just 12 megapixels versus 16, the Xiaomi has more detail, but that also introduces more noise. So when it comes to portraits, I think they were very well balanced as well. Obviously, when it comes to telephoto capabilities, the Xiaomi just takes the win very clearly because of that massive amount of zoom you get. You get up to 10 times in hybrid zoom, and you can go 50 times in digital zoom, which is ridiculous. So when it comes to the selfie camera, they're both pretty neck and neck. It's not that much difference. The Xiaomi does have a stronger megapixel count on the front camera, but the balance on the color and the image overall, highlights and shadows, on the iPhone still look a little bit better to me. The Xiaomi was a little bit too contrasty for my taste, very subjective again. So again, picking the best camera phone between these two is a little bit subjective, like I said. I know I hate giving this answer, but it is what it is, so deal with it. But if you're going for something more versatile and something that you can use in multiple different scenarios, and you're into that world of taking pictures all the time, I still would suggest the Xiaomi over the iPhone. But if you're the guy who just enjoys decent quality, you don't want to think too much about, oh, I need to change settings, you just want to pull out your phone, take a picture, and it's gonna look good, definitely would go for the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, do let us know by hitting that like button, and also make sure you come back next week for a tutorial video that we're doing on how to edit your pictures to make them look really professional if they're taken with your phone. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video.